Chaos.
Chaos.
T-minus 15.
Oh, they're not scared of you. They're scared of what you represent.
10, 9. Ignition sequence start.
What you represent to them is freedom.
We have ignition. All engines are running. We have liftoff. We have liftoff.
Guys, welcome to Chaos Radio number 144. Sitting alongside founder of the Arlington Tea Party, founder of WBTM internet broadcast, Mel Moss. And what an event that was.
Hey, let's listen to a couple of minutes of it.
Ted Cruz from Tuesday night. We got that?
It's coming up. We had to get past the intro on that deal.
Now, this was our baby. This was our thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Ted Cruz. And this goes on for another 14 minutes. This is breaks the 8-minute barrier by another 6 minutes. Now, Mel, what our listeners are hearing is an event hosted and produced by WBTM and the Lone Star Tea Party.
Exactly. And other tea parties that were involved in it were helping get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all of them across town, probably even ones that we don't even know were participating in it. And we want to thank everybody for helping get the word out. It was an incredible thing, an incredible evening. I mean, what energy.
Mm-hmm.
What energy.
The cool thing is, man, we had like 2 days to prep this thing. We had to change venues. I was talking to the sound guy. This was at the Arlington Music Hall. Very historic place, real cool place to hold the event. And it seats just under 1,100. Man, there were people out the door.
Yes.
There was not enough room for everybody to grab a seat there. I talked to the sound guy who does all the events up there. He said at least 1,200 people there, maybe as many as 1,500 people showed up.
That would be correct. So correct. And let me tell you, we knew it would be that way. Coming into the final hours of it, Ted's camp had sent to us an email saying, hey, we're not there yet. We're at about 800 something people, and I said, look, this is going to fill out because the word went out there far and wide, and the fact is, if you didn't come and try and get a seat, you were guaranteeing you wouldn't get a seat. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'm sure the people that came and were out there in the lobby, God bless them, I think they still got to witness something incredible.
I was out in the lobby. That's where I watched the event from.
Right.
And you could hear it just fine. You could see the entire event. I mean, the lobby, they had curtains, and we were able to raise the curtains up, and everybody could see just fine. It was crowded.
Right.
I mean, but nobody was going anywhere.
No.
So, Rafael Cruz gave a great speech. You and Rick were amazing. Y'all opened the thing up, and wow, what passion, what energy. Oh, I'm serious.
I know
you don't like getting the kudos and stuff, but man, it was awesome.
I am usually in the background of these things. That's just me. I mean, I'm of the older generation, and we try to put the younger people out there. But time was so short that we had to put this together pretty fast, and we didn't have time. And plus, we didn't want to schedule a bunch of speakers in front of Ted, because that's what that was all about that night, was the outpouring of love and affection for a guy that's standing up there and doing what we asked him to do, which is fight, number one. Number two, not giving in to the party elites. And number three, the people are hungry for somebody that's going to get up there and fight for them and speak the truth. And that's what Ted's been doing. He has been doing what he said he would do. And that is so important to us. And why other politicians don't get that, I don't believe. I can't understand. I just can't understand it. I mean, we take a look at what's going on today. And now all of a sudden we've got all the Democrats, even Nancy Pelosi, who we heard last night that her face fell off. Plastic surgeons are gathering to try and figure out what to do. Of course, she'll want the taxpayers to pay for it. But even she is taking the Ross Perot path.
She kind of looks like Ross Perot.
Well, what she's done is she's saying, well, what we need to do is just fix it. Just fix it. Now, from what we're understanding is just fixing it is not that easy a task. And let me tell you, I come from the aircraft world. And when something goes bad wrong, they have a tendency all the time. This happens every time. And it happened that way. It's been going on that way for 50 years. When something goes wrong, they start throwing man hours at it. And they'll have 100 people working on one tiny problem. Now, it's not going to get done any faster, but they can say they've thrown man hours at it.
They've thrown 3 years at it. Yeah. And $500 million.
Well, I know, but what they're saying now, just fix it. Just fix it. And what's happening is they're going to throw all these man hours at it, and probably on our dime. Listen to me. These companies that are not in business to lose money. Now, they've got egg on their face right now. Of course, they're all going to be pointing fingers back and forth at each other. Will anybody be held accountable?
They're pointing fingers, and we're getting the finger.
Yeah, that's true. Is anybody going?
Screw you, America. This is what this whole thing is. But you know what? Now, this thing is designed. I mean, all this, what we're seeing right now is a ruse because this thing is designed to fail. They told us right from the get-go so that we'd go into a single-payer system. Yeah. But there is good news about this because nobody's trusting Obama. Nobody's trusting the Democrats. People are looking for some real opposition up in Washington, D.C. They're not finding it with the likes of John Cornyn, Mitch McConnell. Really, the only opposition, and we talked about this here yesterday, the only opposition to this administration and their agenda in the entire world is the Tea Party.
Yes. And let me tell you, were they not energized the other night?
You're talking about the Thank You, Ted Cruz rally?
I'm talking about the Thank You, Ted Cruz rally. You mean you could feel the energy? Just unbelievably incredible.
It was electric from the get-go. And there's so many cool facets about this. One of the things that really impressed me, not only did we have media sources from all the major U.S. media networks, but we had media sources literally from all over the world covering the event.
Yes, we did.
I mean, I made friends with a couple of Japanese guys. From Europe, there were news people covering this event. So, and it just goes back to show the point that the Tea Party is not a local thing. I mean, the epicenter, I think, is right here in Texas. But it's all across America. It's all across the world. Australia has a Tea Party. There's freedom movements all over Europe. Really all over the world. We see, we kid around. We're starting to sell the cloud noses. And we got that from down in Brazil because they're having a freedom revolution down in Brazil. Imagine this. They're sick of the communist government down there. It doesn't work. But it was electric. And the Tea Party, contrary to what our critics and the administration and their cronies would like to believe, The Tea Party's not going anywhere. We're just getting this thing started.
That's right. We, how many times have they announced the Tea Party dead? Just how many times have they done that?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, just days ago, who was it? Chucky Schumer or one of them? The Tea Party, they've peaked. They've peaked. Nah.
No, because more and more people are waking up, and the younger generation's starting to wake up. Because listen, we're only 5-6 years into this. The progressive agenda, they're over 100 years into trying to implement their agenda. We're 5-6 years into this Tea Party thing, and what we're starting to see is more and more of the younger generation are starting to get on board.
Just because they're getting it, there's no jobs.
They're graduating. Listen, they were starting college whenever this thing was starting. Now they're out of college. They can't find a job. They're going, who's to blame for this? Where do I turn? Where's the opposition? I thought Barack Obama was supposed to lower the sea level. I thought he was supposed to lower. Well, maybe this whole global warming thing, maybe the globe's responding because the temperatures are lowering. So maybe that's something good.
But the young people are going to figure it out because the jobs they're going to be able to find are going to be part-time jobs. Of course, they're busy destroying the 40-hour work week to a 30-hour work week. How are you going to feed your family of 2, 3, 4, 5 kids if you depended on a 4-hour work week?
Yeah.
How's it going to work?
The government's answer is, well, let us raise your kids for you.
Hey, free lunches for everybody. I mean, it just continues and continues and continues. And, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to make ends meet with a 30-hour work week because your pay increases are not going to go up that much. Mm-hmm. It's not going to make up the difference. And now plus all these new mandates they're placing on you, the more expensive health care system. I mean, what's all that?
Yeah. And the reason that there's a 30-hour work week is because companies are required to provide the health insurance if you work more than 30 weeks. The companies, they can't afford to do this, and so they're cutting the hours. And so people, they're not able to make the jobs. They're not able to make the living. Plus, they're not having the health insurance. We find out today that 16 million people are going to lose their health coverage. 16 million. I thought Barack Obama said under his plan, under this glorious Affordable Care Act, not one person is going to lose their health coverage. What's going on here?
I don't know. Your computer's acting up over there.
I'm having trouble with the computer today.
We may have to scrap that one and get another one. But, yeah, Josh, you're right. I mean, it's just look at what's going on. And we're just in the early stages of this. The full effect of all this has not even come into place yet.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where it's headed. But we know we've got politicians taking us there. And let me tell you, all Republicans had to do was stand their ground. Look, you got the Democratic Party now yelling, hey, we need to delay this for a year. Mm-hmm. Nancy Pelosi's fix it. They're scrambling now to cover up for it. Republicans, you should not cave. You should not cave because when you do, it makes you look weak. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you are weak.
Yeah.
For not standing with Ted and having his back.
And Mel, that's another aspect of this event. It was a big thank you to Ted Cruz, but it was also a message to Republicans all across America that whenever you do the right thing, we're going to get your back.
Yeah.
And if you stand up for the American people, this Obamacare is against the will of the American people. Nobody wants this thing. You have to be an uber liberal to think this is a good idea. America's against this, and yet you have this bipartisan war against the American people, cramming this thing down our throat. The Republicans are offering no opposition to this, only Ted Cruz. And what we're saying to the likes of people like Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, listen, we got your back. And folks in Utah, y'all need to get the back of Mike Lee. Y'all are showing him the same love in Utah that we're showing Ted Cruz here in Texas, and y'all need to step it up out there and hold a rally. Give Mike Lee a call. Let him know, man, you're doing a good job. But this was one of the central themes that we wanted to express gratitude to Ted Cruz and every Tea Party candidate out there that is going to stand up for the American people. Whenever you do the right thing, the Tea Party, we've kind of gotten slighted in the media as just a moan and groan group, which is not the truth. It's just not the truth. Because whenever we have politicians that will do the right thing, well, that's what this event was about on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Thank you. And we say it again. Thank you, Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not in the bag for this guy. The reason that we're expressing gratitude towards Ted Cruz is because he did what he said he was going to go to Washington and do.
Not talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Right.
Not telling us one thing and then go doing another. Hey, we've got a phone call. Let's go see who that is. This would be a 94171 last numbers. Good morning.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
Rick Rose.
Hey,
Rick
Rick.
Rose over here.
I just got your text.
I've been sitting here for a while, but that's all right. I figured you'd finally notice. Listen, I just got 2 tweets that the people, the base commanders on Fort Hood, Texas,
Yes.
are telling folks that Christians and Tea Partiers are terrorists. Now, we've been talking about this for a while. And one of the things that's going on, as you well know, guys, they're not allowing Christian clergy to speak out within the military and hold services for Christians. In fact, they've told them they'll put them in jail if they do. We've also talked about the breakdown and the absolute destruction of our military commanders who stand for the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting rid of them.
Didn't they?
Obama, the president, is getting rid of them. He's firing them. And now he's got commanders saying that Christians and Tea Party people are terrorists. Now, if that doesn't make you think that they may start coming after you, I don't know what it'll take. You must be, as Josh put a moment ago, uber liberals, uber heads.
Yes.
And there was a young lady there at our show Tuesday night that reported me as saying that Obama couldn't be a Christian. Now, I've listened to the excerpt of what they put on the air, and it's only a portion of what I said about that subject. In fact, I predicated it with the very same thing that I just said.
Right.
That if a person would refuse Christian clergy within the military, and they have both Catholic, Protestant, and I'm assuming now Muslim clerics in the military.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they allow the Muslims to, but they don't allow the Christian folks to.
I would almost guarantee that's the case.
Well, I know it's the case. It's been reported out of Fort Hood. Mm-hmm. Is Fort Hood not one of the largest military bases in the free world?
It
yes.
Sure is, yes.
Do they not house many, many, many soldiers, more than most bases will hold? Yes. I grew up down there, guys. I know that base like the back of my hand. I've been in every crevice there is as a kid, roaming through the reservation. If my parents would have known at the time, they'd have probably, locked me in my room for the rest of my youth, because you can get killed out there pretty easy by stepping on a live round. And I'm talking about big rounds, because that's a military armored base. In other words, there's tanks, and they fire big guns out there all the time. Now,
yes.
Listen, it approaches me as being close to at least stupid for a news reporter from WFAA to report what I said or what anybody said. It's not relevant because I said it. It's relevant because a Tea Party person said it. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. But they also, Rick, they also took a tiny portion of what you said and put it out there, and they misrepresented what you had to say. You know,
of course they did.
It's the usual thing that they do to us. They go out there and they take a little portion of something somebody said and then come back and hammer us as anything and everything in the book. And, you know, we're just tired of it. That's the reason we formed this radio station and the reason we named it WBTM, which stands for We Become the Media. And, I want to get around to different groups and talk to them about that. If you would like us to come speak to your group, go to LoneStarTeaParty.us, and up there in the blue menu bar, you can request that we come talk and tell you what it is we're doing and how these things are going to work. Because let me tell you, when we work together, we're powerful. We're really powerful.
Oh, of course we are. Yeah. What did I talk about the other night? What do we talk about most of the time? We talk about the word unity.
Yes.
And you see, we've got a bunch of goober heads out there that listen to the media. You know, I've had relatives of mine say, Rick, you're the only person we hear talking about this. And my comeback, as you well know, is, well, have you ever been to a Tea Party meeting? Oh, no, we're not a member of the Tea Party. And they say it as like that they might be stepping in dog doo-doo if they were to go outside and head to a Tea Party meeting. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
And I'll look at them like, are you absolutely crazy? And by the way, just to give you a heads up, guys, I talked to one of our representatives this morning here in Texas, and he's going to be calling in. Look for his number, Bill Zedler, a 100% conservative voter in the legislature. Okay. He has a 100% rating on conservatism in the legislature in Texas is calling in, and he's going to report to you and whatever else he can find too. But he's going to talk to you about what he's getting out of Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay. Now, matter of fact, there's a 7346 number that could be him. Good morning.
Mel.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
And we can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, this is Bill Zedler, and I was listening to WBAP this morning, and it was around 7 o'clock, and basically they were having a news broadcast that said that a Fort Hood soldier had come up and that he was basically saying that they were being told that are warned that evangelical Christians and Tea Party members may be a threat to this nation.
Good Lord.
He is working with Liberty Institute to help him because obviously when he comes out like this, they're going to probably be going after him. And but it was been reported. And the thing about it is, this is nothing new.
Right.
We've seen this from several areas of the country where one was a National Guard group that was being given information, and one of the things that they were being told was that they needed to look out for Tea Party members and evangelical Christians. So this is not kind of the first little deal out of the chute. That there seems to be a common thread going around the country that our military and government personnel are being told that evangelical Christians and Tea Party members are a threat to the country. My concern is, I wonder if they're being told that socialists and Marxists are a threat to the country.
I know. I wonder if the Occupy people are a threat to the country.
Exactly.
Right. Or
let me throw something in here.
Yeah.
Let me throw something in here right quick before we move past this point, guys. Bill, good morning. It is so great to have you on our show. Representative Bill Zettler, folks, from Texas, 96th District, is one that votes his heart and his Christian beliefs every time he pushes the button in that hall. Okay? He's at 100% rated by anybody who rates public officials on their conservatism or their liberalism. Okay? We have liberals in the House in Texas that vote more conservatively on some things than do some of our Republicans. But let's just mention something here. I wonder how many news reporters out there are pushing the envelope on the fact that we, the Tea Party and evangelical Christians, are a threat to this nation. How long do you think it will take for some of these dumbed-down people to begin to have fear about us, and maybe they're trying to start a fight on the playground?
They may be.
I yield the floor.
They may be.
Exactly.
They may be.
And I think what it boils down to is that there's, when you start to have this message come out, then, I think that tells me that Americans had better get engaged with what's going on in our country, and we all need to be sounding the alarm that, first of all, we're not going to tolerate this. Mm-hmm. We need to be notifying our elected officials and asking that a full congressional investigation needs to be launched into this.
Yes.
And we want to know where that's coming from, and that we're not going to tolerate having taxpayer money spent on promotion of this kind of philosophy.
We will lead
somehow evangelical Christians and Tea Party members are a threat to this country.
We will lead that charge. We will lead it. Hey, we've got another caller here. Let's see. You may want to ask the question, Bill. Let's see who this is. That would be 9381. Good morning.
Good morning, Mel. This is Robert Kessick. How are you?
How are you doing, Robert Kessick? He's the president of Las Colinas Capital Management. Good morning, bud.
How you doing? Well, I just wanted to call up and thank you and Rick and all the people that helped to put on that the opportunity for Cruz to come out there and for the people to get excited about what he's been saying and doing.
Let me state just one thing for everybody right now. There was a lot of people, even though there was a lot of people that helped on that, including Bill Zettler, Craig Owenby, the Sargent family, Alan Petchy. The list goes on and on of people that helped us put that together in short notice, even though, it was fluid for 2 days as we grew from a place with 200 people to 350 to 1,000. So it was an incredible thing to be a part of, and we were glad we could do that on short notice. It gives you an idea of what we can do when given the opportunity. And I want to thank Ted Cruz's staff for helping us make that happen.
Let me interject something here real quick, okay? Hold on just a minute, Robert, because I want to introduce you. Last night, Robert Kessick and I spoke, and we spoke considerably, but one of the topics that we spoke about, Robert is going to report on here in just a moment. I texted him back and asked him to call in. Robert spent some time last night at the John Cornyn Town Hall. And let me weave this together for just a moment. We all have a responsibility to stop the madness. And our elected officials are supposed to listen to us. Robert texted me this morning and said that the people that were there at that town hall with John Cornyn, and I'm assuming some of his staff, wanted his head. and was saying that, let me copy over what Mel said and reiterate. We not only thank the people that put it together, but you know what? I thank the people that showed up, because, you know, as I said in my little small part in that show, we didn't have any losers there. They were all winners. And the reason I said that is because you're here. You're actually, even though you may have come to hear Ted Cruz, that shows that you support him. That means that you support what he says and that you support the Tea Party. So you're here. And I think that the people that came made that show that don't. And I bet you they feel the same way. They must be generous people to have done that for us. And that means that they believe in our cause too. Those are the people we need to recruit, not just deep pocket people, but the people that come and the people that they know that didn't come that believe like them. And with having said that, please let me turn this back on. Tell us why people wanted Ted, John wanted Ted last night. Go ahead.
You know, that's just, you know, of course, that's just my using my own words, of course. But, yeah, I met the lady that was one of the officers of that Republican club. It was at a country club. It was a relatively small room. My wife and I were guessing, we were both there, that there was probably anywhere from 40 to 50 people. A lot of those were candidates, of course, running for judge and stuff. And Katrina Pearson had a couple of people there passing out her things. Bill Whitehill running for judge and a couple of other people that I know. But most of the people in that particular group, I didn't know anybody there. I happened to sit near the front table and met this officer, and she told me that she was contacted by Cornyn's people to ask if he could come and speak there. And it made me think that they might have scoped out this particular Republican club thinking it would be a good place to test the water. And I'll tell you, there was a very, very rough water for Senator Cornyn. Because I happened to sit by that lady, I told her I came there to ask him a question, and she called on me first without me even having to raise my hand. So I felt very welcomed, and you know, I really pretty much made a comment and asked him a question at the end. And I'm telling you guys, I've got a video. Wendy videoed the whole thing, so you can hear it. The people actually cheered and applauded when I got done just asking him the question. And just to give you the tenor of it, you know, I made the point to him that that the socialists are trying to take over the government, and nobody even wants to name them the
Really?
socialists are trying to take over our government. And I said the reason why people are so behind Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee is because they're opening their mouth and they're fighting against it and representing the people and trying to get the people engaged. And I went to my normal thing that I always have mentioned. I know I've repeated it so many times. I don't know why. And I said, you're in the leadership of the Republican Party, so you're directly responsible for setting the tone. And I said, there's all these radio talk show hosts that are conservative shows. They're not liberal shows. And you're not using it. You're not going out to the people. Well, he gave his canned answer, you know, that we need to win more seats, and you know, we need to win more seats. And then he just completely went off with his own rhetoric and didn't really address it. I was going to say that at the very end, he cut it off very quickly. I don't think he did the Q&A part for any more than 30 minutes. He probably didn't speak for any more than 10 minutes. And you know, gave you the normal kind of rhetoric, you know, that they're against Obamacare and all this kind of stuff. Some of the other people said things like, "You didn't stand with Cruz," was truly the perception that he didn't stand with Cruz. Another guy brought up McCain and the Gang of Eight and the immigration bill, and hammered him on that. And the only thing that we missed on that I wish it would have came up, I didn't want to push myself in there that hard, but because there were so many people that were asking questions and raising issues, was the fact that he being in the very, very top leadership of the Senate was responsible for putting together the 4 people on the Gang of 8.
There you go.
He was acting like he doesn't have anything to do with, these other candidates and what they say, because a lot of people were really upset with McCain there. I'm telling you, there wasn't an easy question. The tone was very direct, and I don't think anybody in that audience was buffaloed or really all that appreciative of John Cornyn, and they wanted answers, and they didn't want it to end. And there was this one lady that was really front, and so he ended up extending to one more question to her, and she was very upset about his support of Richard Lugar in Indiana, because I think at that time he was head of that Senate money committee that feeds these candidates, and I guess he came out pretty boldly for Lugar. She was very upset, and then he made the comment, that we can disagree and everything for who you're for, but and he said, Murdoch was a good guy and all this kind of stuff, but he lost, and now there's a Democrat in there. And the point that I would make to the audience here is that's who the people voted for. The people got who they wanted. It's not so much about the winning and losing. It's about who the people wanted to run, and they didn't want Richard Lugar. He did the same thing with that Lisa Murkowski in Alaska. He fed her money. He fed Kane money out in Arizona when he had the J.D. Hayworth competition. It was really great, and it was really something. And I contacted Dwayne Stovall this morning to tell him I'm going to send him a copy. I'm going to send the video to FreedomWorks because they're the people who let me know that the meeting was taking place.
Well, hey,
I would have never
Robert,
known.
Send it to us.
Robert, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Please send that to us so we can get it out there, so we can help. This man needs to be gone.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mel.
We got
Hey,
one
Mel,
guy
one more
that's
thing.
let me speak, please. We got one guy that stepped up that we know of, stepped up to run for him. That would be Dwayne Stovall. He is go give him a chance. Listen to him. Get his videos. I'll tell you what. I'm going to post one this weekend of a speech that Dwayne Stovall did before our group. And let me tell you, he really educates you. He not only gives you his thoughts, he educates you on some things you may not know about.
He was at the Ted Cruz rally.
Yes, he was. He was at the Ted Cruz rally. I didn't get a chance to introduce him.
He was sitting right by me.
Really?
Yeah, he was sitting right by me at the rally.
Yeah, and really that was about Ted that night. We're going to do some other things. I'll be working. I'll go next week to the bike rally down in Galveston that I do every year. And I'll be gone for a week. I'll get re-energized, recharged. I'll get away and not think about this stuff for a while. But then again, it never leaves me. I'm always thinking about it. But I'll do some other things, and then I'm going to come back energized, and we're going to work on what we're going to do next. Because I tell you, it's going to be big.
Now, let me jump in here real quick. When we were doing our thank yous and shout-outs, there was one person we missed, and that's Robert Beverly of Dreamweaver Studios. He did last minute, within 2 hours, he made a killer banner for the event. And I just want to thank him from right here in Arlington. Guys, if y'all need any printing done, this guy does amazing work. Dreamweaver Studios, call Robert Beverly, and he's a hardcore Tea Party guy. So
hey, we'll put him down as one of our sponsors. Yeah. How about that?
All right.
Yeah, really. Let me throw something in here real quick,
okay.
guys. I wanted to let Bill Zeller get back on with us now.
Yes.
I wanted him to hear what Robert had to say and weave that together for us, if you could, Bill, because you see, John Cornyn has been against us. And now, if he's against us, maybe he's promoting that issue, and maybe not directly, and I'm not accusing him of it, but if you have an attitude that you don't want to be around Tea Party people, don't you think that adds to the narrative? Go ahead, Bill.
Well, the one thing I do think we need to do is we need to define the Tea Party, based on who they really are and not allow the media or anybody else to redefine us. Because the one thing you'll notice with the media and the left is what they always do is they simply give way to name calling. They are using Saul Alinsky style politics.
Yes, they are.
They give way to name calling, and basically instead of they're not going to tell people that, oh, listen, the Tea Party is in favor of limited government and we want big government. No, what they're going to do is say the Tea Party is dangerous. They're going to do like that congressman out of Florida that says, Tea Party, they're the same as racist and that kind of stuff. We need to make sure that in each and every time that we're out in the public, we are defining who the Tea Party is.
Yeah,
because we need to make that abundantly clear so that the average Joe on the street who's just kind of barely tuned in, they start getting the message. Wait a minute. The Tea Party is Washington, Jefferson, Franklin, Adams. They're the principles that they stood for. That's what the Tea Party stands for.
There you go.
That's who we are.
I can't.
Exactly.
I've never heard that explained any better. If you look at most of the coverage we got locally here, 90% of it really left us out of it. They talk more about the aspect of Cruz and the welcome he got.
Exactly.
And we rarely got mentioned in there, other than the one derogatory article that they tried to take a small piece of what
out of context with Rick.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, they didn't dare show the full his full statement, because basically, you know why? Because 70% of Americans would listen to that and say, "Whoa, we agree with Rick Rose."
That's right.
Yeah, Bill, this is Robert. I just wanted to add to that and say that I've often asked myself if I ever did get interviewed by one of these news guys, especially at a Tea Party event that I'm attending, what would I say? And, the thought that I have is, well, my experience is this. The very first time that Wendy and I went to this was in April 15th in 2009 in downtown Dallas.
Exactly.
And we didn't know anybody who was going. We didn't call anybody that we knew to see if they wanted to go. We went down there. Wendy said, "Should I make up a sign?" And I said, "Sure." She made up a sign. She said, "What do you think? A couple of signs. What do you think of this?" I said, "I think that's great." We went down there to the event, and people had the same thing on their signs that she did. I saw numerous people with the same thing. Leave us alone, less government, tax enough already. All these kinds of things, freedom. They were all freedom messages.
Yes.
Get out of our life. The government is the problem, not the solution. The same thing that Reagan taught us back then.
Exactly.
And nothing has changed. And these people didn't know each other, right? And there's probably, 10,000 people there, whatever it was. And I just wanted to say, too, that it's been nice to be invited over to Mel and Rick's group a couple of times, and it makes me feel good when people respond in a positive way to whatever I have to say. I said to Rick afterwards, I just thought what he said was tremendous. I think that, literally millions of people would agree with everything that he said and how he said it. I think a lot of people are just not, and that's fine. A lot of people aren't willing to stand up and say that in public, but they want to hear it. And I think that's why this whole thing maybe is turning the corner for us with Cruz, because I think maybe he's the marginal one more person that stood up and said the things that other people have been thinking and saying, yeah, I've been thinking that very, very same thing. And that's what the Tea Party is. A few people have stood up at Tea Party events and said things that millions of people are thinking. And that's kind of what I said to Cornyn yesterday. When is somebody going to call up, stand up and say that these people are socialists trying to take over our government, trying to take over our country?
Yeah, Robert, you're exactly right, Robert. I mean, right from the get-go, whenever Mel and Rick got up there, it was dynamic, it was electric, and the entire auditorium was charged. I mean, it was amazing. Yes. I want to jump in here. I want to say that it's a uniquely American ideal that only the individual can ever make a difference. You know, the rest of the world, they're subject to tyranny and socialism because they think that they have to have a big group before they can make an effect any change. And that's one of the distinguishing characteristics about the Tea Party and these freedom movements, whatever the name is, the Constitutional Party or whatever your group is that it's an individual who started the party, whether it's Mel Moss here over in Dallas or Fort Worth. It's always the individual that says, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to do something. I'm going to get involved. And we are still, and our audience here at WBTM continues to grow at extraordinary rates because more and more people are saying and waking up and going, you know what, I'm going to be that individual who makes a difference. Now, the amazing thing is once you get all of these leaders, right on the left, you get a bunch of followers, you get a figurehead, and it's all groupthink. Here in the Tea Party movement, it's the total opposite. You get a bunch of leaders. Whenever you get a bunch of leaders together, watch out about the change that's going to be affected in our country. And for those who are watching us on LoneStarTeaParty.us or listening to us on one of the other outlets, we're waiting for you. You got talents, you've got abilities that we don't have here. And it's not like we're a bunch of rich guys. We're not. We're not even working on a budget here. I mean, we are looking for leaders. There is amazing opportunities for you. Get involved. Show up. Just show up. You know, it was Woody Allen who said 80% of success is just showing up. And we need you, please.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, we got one.
Yeah. In fact, you know, I was out in West Fort Worth when it was in February, March of 2009, right after Obama had passed that, and the Democrats had passed that first massive stimulus. And the thing I saw in fact, I talked to a lot of the people there. There were about probably 800-900 people meeting out there in that circle of West Fort Worth. And I talked to numerous people who said, I've never been involved before.
Yes.
And what I've seen is I've got to get involved. I've got to get out and do something because we are spending our nation into oblivion. And we've got to do something. And let me tell you, I was excited about it simply because I know one thing, that it gets back to the old, I think it was Jefferson that said, when the government fears the people, there is liberty, but when the people fear the government, there is tyranny.
Yes.
We got to remember that, and we've got to get involved. We got to understand that whatever happens on some show on television, you know, between now and the next few years, it isn't going to make any difference. But you know what? What goes on in your government is going to make a difference. And if you don't get involved and if you don't get engaged on what's going on, then let me tell you, bad things are going to happen to this country. On the other hand, if the American people would get involved, good things will happen. We can turn this around, because if we get the government, the economy going, that's the way to get ourselves out of these problems.
That's exactly
right. But the fact is, it is the government that is stifling economic growth.
Yes.
$22 trillion.
They're spending our money like wildfire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're saying $22 trillion by February 2014.
Hey, you guys, we got another caller. Let's see who it is. He may have a question. We got 0856. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, a lady's
Can
voice.
you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
This is Reen Poe. I'm Vice President of the Hood County Tea Party down here in Granbury.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to thank you all for what you did the other night. And, you know, this is the first time I've listened to your show. It's great.
We really try real hard, and it's fun to do. And at the same time, it's a little bit of work. We spend maybe about 30 hours a week at it. Not really, but we spend quite a bit of time working at it and improving our broadcast. We built a studio, and actually you can come in here. It's pretty cool. You people that can see it online or go to LoneStarTeaParty.us, you can actually see it on video there, and it's really it's right now. I'm going to say it's been a work of love, you got to love doing this. You've got to love trying new things. Soon we're going to be able to do a small TV shows, internet TV shows with a small audience here. And let me tell you, it's going to be fun. We're going to get some politicians in here like Mr. Bill Zedler, who's always fun to be with, who's always a wealth of information for us. And let me tell you, he has taught us a lot about how our state government works, or even worse, how it doesn't work. Which,
exactly.
He's the one that taught us that the state legislature is a bill-killing machine. And he was so right. It's incredible.
What's going on in Hood County? Go ahead, ma'am. What's going on in Hood County?
Well, we're real excited down here. We started this little tea party with 7 people, and at our last meeting, we had 165.
Wow.
Great.
I love it.
And we're here in Granbury, and we're pretty small, so, and we've had hits. We've had over 10,000 hits on our website just in like 3 months. And, I mean, it's real exciting what's happening.
Let me tell you.
People are wanting to get involved and say, I just moved to the area. How can I help you? That's what we love to hear.
You know what we'd like to do? We'd like to come down there one day, maybe one Saturday or something, and do a show from there.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Let me know, and we'll work it out.
We'll work it out. We will sometime here in between all the holidays and the festivities that go on. We'll work that out with you. That'll really be fun.
Well, that'll be. Just a second. Don said to ride your motorcycle.
well, you know I can bring
Guys, we're going to get off here, but I just wanted to thank you for what you're doing, and we sure enjoyed the rally the other night. We're glad to be a little part of it.
Hey,
so thank you very much.
God bless you and for all you do, and keep in touch.
Okay, and thank you,
Hey,
Bill.
become a member of Lone Star Tea Party. Become a member of Lone Star Tea Party so we can communicate with you through our email system there.
And you can post.
Well, we are. I am. You send me emails, so that's great. I'm just glad to put faces to y'all.
Okay. Let me tell everybody, you can go to LoneStarTeaParty.us, and many Tea Party leaders are there. You know, they all know they can blog there. They all know they can post events there. Lone Star Tea Party is .us is all of us. It's not. It's not just Arlington. It's all of us. And so, thank you for all you do.
Renee, are you still there?
Yeah, this is Reen. Yeah.
Reen?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Is it hoodcountyteaparty.org? Is that your website?
That's us.
All right. For you folks in Hood County, you're looking to get together with a good tea party. She sounds like a real nice lady. Go to hoodcountyteaparty.org.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all come down.
All right,
Let us know. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Mel, I've got to go also. Hey, listen, continue to fight the fight. We appreciate you guys. Hang in there.
Hey, Bill, when I get back from the rally, we'll talk. We'll discuss what moves we're going to make next.
Okay.
Thanks a lot,
listen,
buddy.
God bless you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill.
This is Robert. Can I add something?
Go ahead, Robert.
I just wanted to say that I bet Bill Zedler feels a lot better since there's some reinforcements in the state legislature, since we had these truly conservative freshmen come in this last session, namely Jonathan Sticklin and Matt Krause and others. I don't have the names in front of me, but that Empower Texans scorecard had all those freshmen rated right up there at the top. And I just think that somebody like Bill, who's been fighting that for a long time, probably feels a lot better about having a little more people on his side to work down there, because it's the same thing with these early guys in the U.S. Senate and House and stuff. They're going against that establishment, and it's very difficult when you're in very small numbers. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and it's like I said earlier. I don't know if you heard it. This should be an example. Ted Cruz should be an example for others to follow. stand your ground. Even over your Tea Party, over your Republican leadership or Democratic leadership. Let's say either one right here. Stand your ground and stand up to these people. Yeah,
I was gonna say too that the fact is that the quote from Sam Adams is very appropriate. That it does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen to set brush fires in people's minds.
Exactly.
And when I heard that lady speak from Hood County, I was thinking, there you go. A few people got together, started up that group. That is the Tea Party. It's the people. It's the people who now have some place to go, some place to hear, become better informed. People who are concerned can come together and shake hands and smile at one another and know they're not the only person looking at the TV set. Mm-hmm. That's what the Tea Party is, folks. It's just the American people. It's the people who love this country.
And they grew from 7 people to 165 in such short order. That tells you that people are waking up. They're starving for leadership, for an honest leadership, and not the. It's like you talked about earlier. The incumbents, the longer they stay there, the worse they get, the more corrupt they become. Now we're finding out about this new. What do they call it? A bill. There was a certain bill they call it where they siphon off part of their campaign funds into their personal accounts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure. Well, I also heard, and it doesn't surprise me one iota, that Orrin Hatch, who's the other senator who's been there for 30 years in Utah, he's getting together, of course, with the Utah Republicans and trying to run Mike Lee off. That's the thing they assume, because they don't want anybody interfering with their little mob that they've been running all these years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's a good word for it. They're a mob.
It really is a mob, because it's okay to join the mob as long as you do whatever the mob tells you to do. That's why I say this isn't a Republican Party. This is really a mob. And you had somebody come in there who didn't ask permission to get up and speak. That's the other thing, is who needs to ask permission if you're a senator to get up and speak? And the other thing I'd like to add is that everyone's always talking, and Cornyn was saying, we need to wait for the election. We need to wait for the election. We already had an election. We have an election every 2 years, Senator. That's how it is in the Constitution. And Mr. Cruz was elected, and a lot of other people were, and everyone was reelected to the House. Whoever those various 435 seats are, we've already had the election. They're just putting it off to where he wants to get the right people elected, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
People that aren't going to open up their mouth and speak their own mind. And then I got one other quote here from Adams that I wanted to throw at you. The liberties of our country, the freedom of our civil constitution, are worth defending against all hazards, and it is our duty to defend them against all attacks. So, again, for the listeners, the Tea Party people are the people who have been learning. All of us have been learning about the Constitution that we didn't learn in school, and we're all about defending it instead of having it trampled upon every time you turn around. I was going to say, you guys know how I used to rant about the particular departments and their spending. Well, I just decided the other day to look up the Department of Education that's done such a wonderful job of messing up our schools. At the time when we first met back in whatever that was, 09, 010, the spending for the Department of Education then was about $56 billion. Well, now it's $77 billion for 2012. $77 billion. If you look over 10-year periods, it's been going up about 14% a year every year. Messing up our schools, messing up our kids, coming out with crap like Common Core, trying to indoctrinate our children.
Yeah,
and that's what they're doing.
For our listeners, we have a show that's really dedicated with Women on the Wall here at the WBTM network with Miss Linehan, Alice Linehan, and you can become an expert on Common Core and everything that's associated with it. So check out WBTM.tv, and you can can find Alice Linehan's shows on that that topic there.
Oh, you guys, hey, those were called milker bills. Milker bills.
Milker bills?
They use those to siphon off funds for their personal use, paintings of themselves, all kinds of NFL tickets. The list goes on and on and on. What they do, it's just like we were talking about. The longer they stay there, the longer they're able to cheat and manipulate.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting, and that's why
one of the congressmen,
go ahead,
out of Florida, paid his girlfriend $675,000.
Yes.
Out of his campaign fund to work for him. I reckon where any of that money went.
Yeah. And we have that article posted at Lone Star.
Incredible.
Yeah, we have that article posted, a video to go along with it at Lone Star Tea Party up on the front page. Schweitzer slams Obama Congress for using milker bills to extort donations. That's the reason we say don't give these people any money.
No.
They got plenty. Yeah. Use that money to support your Tea Party groups, your 912 organizations, your grassroots organizations, your conservative organizations, your churches, whatever. But don't give it to politicians, and do not give it to a party affiliation like the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. Listen, they're going to squander your money.
Yes.
And they don't like us saying that, but that's what they're going to do.
Yes, and I know we're jumping around a little here, but for you guys, for what you heard earlier about what's going on down in Fort Hood, you approach your pastor and tell him, hey, you've got to start standing up. You can't sit back any longer. You have to start talking about this stuff.
You're exactly right, Mel. And Robert, you make a great point, bringing back the leadership from our founding fathers, bringing back their quotes and their ideas. And what we remember is that from the very founding, it was the pastors, it was the churches that led the revolution. And what we need here in 2013, 2014, 2015, so we need more and more pastors standing up. You know, they're afraid because they're afraid they're going to lose their 501c3
They're not going to lose their
status.
501c3. You're not going to lose it. That's a myth.
And
it's only happened one time in the history of our country that a church lost anything since the IRS came into existence.
Right.
Listen, it's all threat, it's all bulliness, it's all mob mentality. Yeah. And I would like to leave you guys with a visual, if you would allow me to do so. At the Texas Republican Party convention in Fort Worth this past season, Mel and I had a booth. And John Cornyn was interviewed right across from our booth at a TV station. Actually, I think it was Peggy Venable and her group who interviewed him. John Wood, his chief assistant here in Dallas, was standing right beside our booth, and I attempted to have a couple of conversations with him. I struggled to do so because he just didn't seem to want to let anybody know that he was talking to us, the Lone Star Tea Party. And the visual that I took away from that day is impacted in my brain. And when they finished with the TV interview, I had mentioned to John Wood that Mel and I would like to speak with him for a moment. And when they finished the interview, I saw John Wood lean over to John Cornyn and whisper something in his ear. John Cornyn looked directly at me and our booth, okay? And I'm thinking, well, he's got the message now. And it wasn't one of those glancing stares. He looked. And as he was being told something, he continued to stare in our direction. He glanced over at Mel and so on and so forth. And he got up out of his chair, and they kind of gathered together there with a number of other folks that were within his entourage. They walked straight toward our booth and turned immediately to to the north of the hall. And as they were moving away from our booth, John Cornyn kept turning his neck around looking at us. And John Wood was continuing to talk to him. Now, I don't know what was in that conversation. I can only submit to you with my training, I would have to say that they were talking, John Wood was talking to John Cornyn about us. And John was turning around and looking at us as if to pay attention to what John Wood was saying, but they continue to make distance from us. Now, that's a lasting impression that I have of John Cornyn, walking away from the Tea Party. Thank you very much, John. We've discovered your true color, and we know now even deeper that you do not support the people, not just the Tea Party, but the people, because you have lied to them and turned your back on them with regard to Obamacare in the very present future, but in the past, you have totally denied us your accessibility. We tried to see him a number of times, Mel, as you'll recall, me, and Mike, and we were never met by John Cornyn. We were always met by John Wood.
And we've asked them to call onto this show, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We called their show last Tuesday a week ago, and you saw how John Wood treated us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he was insulting.
They believe they're in the ruling class. You know, they're part of the party leadership, and they're going to do what they're going to do. It was Rush Limbaugh that suggested that the party wants to see us go. They want to see us constitutional conservatives, and really that's what we are. They want to see us go. I mean, no matter
absolutely, they don't want to address it.
So if they want
absolutely,
they don't want to address
it. If they
also
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add that as far as see us go, there was a man that stood up at that Cornyn town hall yesterday. Nicely dressed in a suit and tie. He said he's been a Republican all of his life. He's been a conservative all of his life. And he said, for the first time ever, I'm considering that maybe the only solution is a third party.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the kind of thing that they're going to hear more and more. But the message that I want to put out is that's exactly. I think that isn't a bad thing to say. But I would like to encourage people to keep pounding and working on moving the Republican Party to the right. I think it's the fastest way to get the change. We need to push these kind of people like Rick was describing Senator Cornyn out. They need to be replaced. And we need to have more and more power and more say because we're the people and we know we're doing the right thing within the two-party system because I just think it'll be much faster. In other words, welcome in people that were doing the Libertarian Party thing, welcome in the Constitutional Party, welcome in all these people, but try to get them to go through the Republican Party the way Rand Paul and his father decided to do. Because I think we can have a faster impact. And the more that, the more that they're turning their head and whispering in somebody else's ear, Rick, and all the rest of the listeners, good. You keep doing that, and you keep basically poking us in the eye, and more people will realize just how bad these people are, and just how little they care about anything about this country and what's made it great. You know, I was going to say one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and that is the President of the United States, before he was elected, Obama, gave this speech in Boulder, Colorado, and I've read the whole speech. And he brought up that he thinks that we need to create the Civilian National Security Force.
Oh, yeah.
I sent that to my sons the other day, and you know, I try to keep them informed, and of course Ross is pretty engaged with Empower Texans, but Ross came back to me and says, what in the world is he talking about? And, you know, when somebody in America says something like that, He talks like that. And then this was in July of '08. And, of course, we know the rest of the story. Became president in November. Says something like that. And there's nobody on our side in government challenging that?
Yes.
A civilian national security force that he promised it would be just as powerful, quote unquote, just as strong, quote unquote, just as well funded as the U.S. military. That's what that's what your president said, people. That's what he actually said in public. And they're going to call us names and look around the corner and whisper into somebody else's ear about who we are. I'm very proud about who we are, Rick, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
For somebody to say that, the audacity to say that in public, that he's going to create a civilian national security force. Well, I got something for them. It's not going to happen as long as I'm around.
Well, we're actually over the last month.
Well, you know what?
Over the last month, we've seen those people. They were the Park Service, the TSA. I mean, those bunch. Yeah, you saw the Park Service. Yeah, you saw the Park Service march out there with their little squad. They're in front of the veterans with their riot gear on, looking around and looking like, what in the hell am I doing here? I didn't sign up for this. And so that's what they did with them. I mean, it's incredible what we've seen over the last month. Can you imagine our government doing that to the vets and closing all down parks and trying to cause maximum pain on the American people? I mean, what is that? And why aren't these politicians, why didn't they stand up and not only say no, but hell no, and then go start defunding some of these outfits?
Absolutely.
Well, if they're not defunding them, do you not believe they're supporting them?
Exactly, Rick.
Implicitly, they are.
I wanted to, Robert, I wanted to compliment you for bringing that up. And I wanted to also say that Mel and I and a couple of others in the very beginning, right after that speech, and he announced his candidacy for president, if you'll recall, we started talking about the brown shirt army. That's the same thing that Hitler said he would do to protect the people. Let me tell you, it's in direct contrast. It's in direct contrast and in confliction with the Posse Comitatus Act that was created and verified by or supported by Congress and the Senate and ratified by all the states at the time, right after the Civil War. And no one seems to ever want to talk about Posse Comitatus. And that basically says that any military unit cannot come in force against the American people. And what do you think a national security force is?
Sure.
It's just like the left always does. They rename it something else, so they disguise it so you don't recognize what it is. 1.7 million rounds of ammunition were bought. And people said, oh, no, that's not true. Well, I called the congressional office and verified that the congressional office itself was inquiring into why they spent and bought all of that ammo. And so I know it happened because the congressional staff were telling me, we want to know why they bought it and how did they get the funds. Well, you know what? 1.7 million rounds of ammunition about 4 months ago disappeared. Now, isn't that a coincidental fact? No, it's an absolute fact. It's not coincidental. That's why those rounds were bought. And they're expecting something, aren't they? And do you know that police departments across this country are training for citizen dissidents to rise up? Now, I wonder why they're doing that.
Hey, let me.
I was going to.
Let me ask Robert one thing. Robert, I brought up to everybody earlier. You are president of Los Colinas Capital Management. You keep track of world markets and all that kind of stuff. Can this country just continue to print money? Can they just keep on doing that indefinitely?
they can to the point to where the market responds. Eventually, and I have been doing a lot on that lately, Mel. There's a really good book out called Currency Wars by James Rickards. It's like Rickards. It's a best-selling book. You can get it in paperback. He explains the history of it and talks about currencies collapsing. Basically, I think it'll continue to go on. I believe that they'll continue to print in even larger quantities than it's currently. For those who aren't aware, they're printing 85 billion additional dollars to the system every month. That's a round number of $1 trillion new dollars per year. So that makes your dollars worth less as they sit in your bank account or in your pocket. And eventually, as Mr. Rickards, who's very, very well read on this subject and very, very historically has a tremendous understanding of this, very interesting guy. If you just want to do Rickards YouTube and listen to him give you a four-minute interview about it, it's very informative. He basically says that they do this every time. It's happened many times in the past at various countries, but in this case, you're talking about the reserve currency doing it, the U.S. dollar, and eventually there's a loss of confidence in the currency, and that's when it comes to an end. When there's a loss of confidence, the dollar will plummet. It'll bring, as he says, everything else down with it. There won't be an asset or a currency in the world that will stand up to that, and everything will come down. And that's when this whole thing will end. And, of course, that's very difficult to tell, when we get to that point.
Right.
But that's kind of the long answer.
So, I mean, I guess we can't keep this up without eventually a collapse or something catastrophic happening.
Yeah, eventually there'll be a loss in the currency of whoever does that. And there's countless examples of individual countries doing that. The last big one was in Zimbabwe, which people aren't going to really know about or care about. But they literally printed Zimbabwe currency in billions of, a ton of zeros on the paper money. That's how it gets to that point. It literally implodes. And back in the days of the Weimar Republic when it happened in Germany, they did this. And they printed so many Deutschmarks. Well, people would pay their bill at the coffee shop when they sat down because by the time they left, the bill was going to be higher. People were going to the store as soon as they got their paycheck, because if they waited by the end of the week, then the stuff at the grocery store was going to be higher. And that's what starts to happen, and it's a snowball. And I'll tell you one more thing since you asked me. Janet Yellen, who's been named, I've been researching her. She will be more apt to print more money than Bernanke. This is a woman from Cal Berkeley. She's a radical person. She believes in just handing money out to people, just printing money and handing it to people. Now, if you want to cause chaos in the society, that's a great way to do it. Just walk around and start handing out bushels and bushels of money to people.
Well, we're starting to see...
She's
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Josh.
I'm
sorry. I was going to say...
No, I just was going to say that it's going to just be chaotic.
Yeah.
We're starting to see, moves in China right now, wanting to get away from the dollar. And we saw that in Libya. I want to plug an event that's going to be going on Monday night. I'm going to be in attendance there. It's at the Plaza Theater in downtown Garland. Dr. Jerome Corsi is going to be there, along with the Moriartys. And it's about the truth about what happened with the Libyan war and why we went in to, quote-unquote, liberate the Libyan people. And what they're putting forward. And, Robert, I don't know if you know more about this than what we do, since you're a financial guy, that Libya, along with many of the other African and Middle Eastern countries, were trying to move away from the U.S. dollar and move towards their own currency, the gold-backed dinar. And a lot of people, the Moriartys and Dr. Jerome Corsi, they put forward the reason that we went into quote unquote liberate Libya was because we didn't want them to move away from our currency. Right? Currency, it's not just a convenience, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also a product. Right, so the people that print this product, that they want you to use as much of their product as they can, and so the Federal Reserve, the privately owned bank system, which has stockholders, they want Americans and the rest of the world to trade using their product, the dollar. Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely every major commodity in the world is only transacted in dollars. Whether it's oil, copper, zinc, you name it, it's traded in dollars. So let's say that you produce oil in Brazil, and of course you pay your people in the Brazilian currency, but when you go to sell that oil into the market, it ends up you end up taking in dollars. The Brazilians take in dollars every time they sell some of their oil. Mm-hmm. So this is the reason why, without going into any more complexity, that's the reason why what Bernanke's doing is so damaging to every other country in the world. It doesn't matter if it's, the tiniest country to the largest countries, it's damaging.
Because the dollar's being inflated.
Because the dollar's being inflated in value, and that drives up it increases the value of their currency every time he inflates the value of the dollar. And so that makes their products more expensive everywhere that they sell it. And so it's very, very damaging. And if you have an unemployment, like say Spain has an unemployment of 26%, and the euro's going up in value because Spain is on the euro, part of the eurozone, then it makes it very difficult for Spain to sell their products because it's more expensive in euros. And so it's crippling. That's why I encourage people to listen to James Ricard explain it in interviews. He's got another book coming out in April, making some predictions of where this thing goes. And by the way, he was involved with war games with the military as far as financial warfare stuff. Mm-hmm. He was an investment banker, an economist, of course. But like I say, an incredibly bright guy, and he explains it in ways that I think the average person can understand it. But he was talking about how Bernanke thinks he's doing the right thing in his own mind, but he's just really going to cause that much more chaos around the world.
There'll be that much more pain. Hey, would it be fair to say we can look at Detroit, who was, as their manufacturing base was in decline, and they continued to spend like madmen? Could we say that's kind of the direction the whole nation is headed right now?
Absolutely. It's a microcosm of the rest of the economy of the United States. And you had an industry that was going down and got propped up and propped up and propped up, and the people were leaving. The people were moving out, right? We've all heard about how the population of Detroit drastically reduced. Mm-hmm. We heard about the $1,300 homes and all the rest of that, and everyone pretended in the Detroit government that everything was just normal, and they couldn't support their schools anymore. There wasn't the tax revenues coming in. And then now they owe something like, I think, $18 billion. $18 billion is what that city owes, a staggering amount of money. I mean, that's a large amount of money for the state of Michigan, let alone the city of Detroit. But the thing is, when something is in decline, either the industry repairs itself and it innovates its way to prosperity, or it doesn't. And that's the beauty of capitalism and free markets, is that the things that are going out of style. For instance, my father was a home delivery milkman. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have home delivery milkmen anymore. That's not a crime. It just went out of style. It was something that went into the history books. It was mainly because of preservatives in milk that you could buy milk at the store. You didn't need to have it delivered fresh every day, and that became the custom and the way things went. So Dad didn't have a job anymore. Well, that's how it goes. It's just, it's like the forward pass in football. They innovated, and the forward pass came out. Well, running isn't as big of a deal as it used to be in the old days. I mean, it just goes on and on. And Detroit was into pension plans and health care plans and all of this stuff that they were willing to pay people. I mean, look at the foreign companies came over here and beat them in the United States, hiring U.S. workers, right?
Yeah.
They didn't, all those Japanese companies that are building all these cars. Look at how San Antonio clamored to get that Toyota plant.
Oh, yes, they did. Yeah, the big lib city.
They're beating them. And when you talk to a crowd, you look at all the people that were in that audience for Cruise the other day. How many of those people own foreign cars? That's what they want. The people chose what they wanted to buy. It's just, again, it's people making their own choice of what the heck they want. It's not a bad thing because somebody has a foreign car. That's what they wanted to buy.
Right.
They're competing out there.
And let me tell everybody
That's
right
why
now.
the thing about
let me tell everybody right now, our audience out there, because we're down to about 6 minutes left in this show. We continue to lose our manufacturing base at an astounding rate. Aircraft jobs are going out of the country. You wouldn't believe what's happening. Even here locally, you would not believe what's happening. Not so much in military, but in commercial markets. We are losing jobs every day. And the fact that we replace some of these workers that are retiring now with young people who can't keep their hands off of their cell phones all day long, let me tell you, you will run jobs out of this country. If you don't have a strong work ethic, you expect things to be handed to you, you are in trouble, and the rest of this country's in trouble.
Yeah, the heart of it's liberalism. And,
I was going to say, if you increase the cost of doing business here,
right,
and you make it that much more burdensome, and believe me, much of the cost goes unseen. It isn't just taxes; a lot of it is regulation. Regulation is a huge cost to do business. You can't do anything without a whole bunch of regulation. I'll let you guys know this. I've been doing this work for investing in the stock market for 31 years. And only in the last about 3 years, the regulators have come down on us. Listen to what they want us to do. They want us to tell them and report in writing why somebody deposits money into their account and why they withdraw money from their account.
It's none of their damn business.
They want an explanation.
And that takes
every time
time.
Somebody adds money or takes money out, they want to know.
And
I sat right in front of the stupid regulators. Yeah, I sat right in front of the regulators and I said, it's their account.
Yeah.
If somebody divorces and the account, let's say, was in the man's name, and somebody divorces, if the wife calls us up and says, hey, I need $5,000, I say, I'm sorry, ma'am, but, the account is in your husband's name. Mm-hmm. That's the law, right? Mm-hmm. That's how things work in this country. Well, I said the same thing to the regulator. I said, if the account is in the person's name, we're a firm. We only make checks payable from your account if you need to take money out in the exact name on the account. We don't make checks to any third parties. You want to pay some bill or you want to send somebody some money, you do that in your own account. Everything is by the name on the account. And to me, that's, when they withdraw money, it goes out in their name.
Yeah.
So why do I have to report, what they're doing with it? It's none of my business.
Right.
Hey, guys, I want to give this website. It's Libyan War the Truth. All one word, LibyanWarTheTruth.com. This Monday with Dr. Jerome Corsi and the Moriartys. I'm going to be taking an in-depth look about everything that happened and transpired over with the war in Libya. So if you can join us, it's going to be Monday, 7 o'clock up in Garland.
Now, let me tell you, everybody, a little truth goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And that's many times that's what we're searching for. It's just the truth. And you guys, with that, we're about 2 minutes out. I want to thank Rick, thank you, Robert, and Josh. Everybody visit LoneStarTeaParty.us. Go there. You can listen to this. This show is going to be archived in a few minutes. Tell your friends about it. Tell them about LoneStarTeaParty.us. Have them join up. You really want to tee a liberal off? You want to tee a ruling class Republican or Democrat off? Join a damn Tea Party. And that'll do it. And get out here with us and show up and help us do things. Go to LoneStarTeaParty.us and join Ted's Army. That's right, our rapid response team. So you guys, that being said, y'all have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
just keeps going.
It just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
Once again, thank you, Ted Cruz.
Thank you, Ted Cruz. Really.